And we are getting closer and closer to the December 7th general elections. This afternoon, there is some significant movement around who becomes what in December. Now, the Electoral Commission has cleared 13 candidates for the 2024 presidential election. There are 9 candidates contesting on the ticket of political parties and 4 independent candidates in the race. Notable among the 11 aspirants who have been disqualified are the People's National Convention PNC Bernard Mona, Janet Nabla, an independent aspirant, and Kofi Asamoah of the Progressive People's Party. When the window for the filing of nomination closed on Friday, September 13, 2024, 12 presidential aspirants standing on the ticket of political parties and 12 others who were standing as independent entities had filed their nominations with the Electoral Commission to contest the presidential slot in December 7 general elections. Now, this is the composition of those that made it, and we've got that on your screens for you now. So, we've got 13, according to the Electoral Commission, 13 have been approved to contest the upcoming election. So this is what we have. These are the names you're going to see on the presidential ballot paper on December 7, where the EC is yet to conduct balloting. So this has nothing to do with how they will place on the ballot paper. The MPPs, Dr. Bawumia, the current vice president, will be contesting for the first time as a flag bearer on a ticket of the MPP. Now, for John Dramani Mahama of the NDC, he was on the ticket in 2012. He appeared on the ticket in 2016. He was again on the ticket in 2020. And for the 4th time, he will be on the ticket of the presidential ballot in December 2024. Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen will be also appearing on the presidential ballot paper for the very first time in his political life, but he will be contesting as an independent candidate under the umbrella of the Movement for Change. Now, for the third time running actually, Christian Kojo Andrew, also known as Osofu Chirabosom, will also be contesting on the ticket, the presidential ballot paper, representing the political party Ghana Union Movement. And of course, remember the issue about domestication and the man who made it so popular in our politics, the late Dan Lartey. May his soul rest in peace. But his son, Daniel Augustus Lartey, it appears that for the Great Consolidated Party, it's a family affair. If you don't belong to that party, there's no way you can represent that party in the presidential pool. First, it was his younger brother Henry, and Daniel Augustus Lartey Jr. will be contesting the presidential race on the ticket of the Great Consolidated Popular Party. Also contesting as an independent candidate is George Berrimachum, who says that if elected, we will start our weekend on Thursday and end it on Sunday. So instead of 2 days for a weekend, it will be 3 days. And he will be making his case ahead of the December elections. A new entrant that is going around the country, galvanizing the youth to give a new political life, is Nana Kwame Bediakon, also contesting as an independent candidate. He made it. Also on the list, on the presidential ballot box, is also, Madam Bokwadonko, a farmer based in the Ashanti region. She will be contesting, I think, for the 3rd time on the presidential ballot paper. And she is under the umbrella of the Ghana Freedom Party. So more names here, and Hassan Yariga, you heard him a while ago on the election brief, and he's making an appearance on the presidential ballot paper under the patronage of the All People's Congress. Kofi Apelu is also not new to the ballot paper. The Liberal Party of Ghana, he will also be making his entry in December. National Democratic Party, NDP, will be represented on the presidential ballot paper by Mohammed Frimpong. Of course, the good old CPP party, Nana Akufo Frimpong, the 2nd time on the ticket of the CPP. And last but not the least is Kofi Kranten, also an independent aspirant seeking to lead this country in December. So these are the men, the ladies and gents that want your vote to lead this country on January 7, 2025, but they can only do so if they're able to secure the mandate of the electors in December, and the election is slated for December 7, 2024. Remember, this number made it. Now, 11 others did not make it, and that will include Bernard Mona, Dr. Sam Ankra. I hosted him 2 days ago here on the pause, and I mean, he's left out. The Electoral Commission is scheduled to address a news conference to explain why they settled on the 13th. Now, they scheduled this news conference at 1 p.m. It is now past 3. As it's become custom with the Electoral Commission, they are never on time. We are hoping that very soon that news conference will start, and they will justify why the 11 people cannot be added to the list to contest the presidential race in December. But let me bring in Bernard Mona, the disqualified candidate for the People's National Party. We'll also be speaking to Dr. Ni Amudakum, independent candidate who didn't make it, Dr. John Piki, presidential aspirant of the Progressive Alliance for Ghana, Nana Ofori-Owusu, National Chair, Progressive People's Party. And we'll be speaking to them, if we have them, and then to understand how they are taking this. Right. So let me bring in the gentleman, Dr. John Kipi. Dr. John Kipi, good afternoon. Welcome to the Pulse.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Great. Nana Ofori-Owusu is also the National Chair of the Progressive People's Party. Nana Ofori-Owusu, good afternoon. Also welcome. If you can unmute for me, Nana.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Right. So let me start with you, Dr. John. So, I mean, you were hoping that you will sell yourself to the people of this country with the hope of securing their votes to lead this country in 2025. The Electoral Commission has cut off that ambition. How did you receive the news?
Well, interestingly, it wasn't the Electoral Commission that cut off this ambition. Ours is a slightly different situation. We've had an exciting run so far. The Progressive Alliance of Ghana is a new party that has made lots of waves and presented a very credible program for transforming this country. However, there was the major task of assembling all the signatures and documents, which are called the data, across the whole country to present to the EC. And as a young party, we were stretched to our limits. We managed to assemble everything. So we had a huge volume of data. But when we checked our own data and went through it, we became aware that there were some quality issues with our data. And so we believe that whatever needs to be done must be done right. Integrity is one of the key things that we want to bring to this nation. And so we went through the data again and asked for permission to try and correct all those parts of the data that needed to be corrected. But unfortunately, we ran out of time. So at that point, we decided that we will withdraw from the race and begin to refocus on 2028, when we will be stronger, a bit more muscle, and then we can then come back to do a much better showing and win power to lead this nation. So we withdrew our own nomination in order that we can prepare for the next elections, 2028. So our eyes are now on 2028. Thank you.
All right. So we'll come to understand how disappointed and how you are hoping to put yourself in readiness for the next election. But let me also pick the preliminary comments of Nana Ofori-Owusu. Nana, so I mean, disappointed that the journey has ended here.
Our journey is just beginning. You know, the Progressive People's Party in 2016 went through the same exact thing with the Electoral Commission. And the Electoral Commission has not learned. And Jean Menster has shown her incompetence in this regard.
Why?
Look, the Progressive People's Party submitted all documentation as required by the Electoral Commission. They reviewed the documentation. They sent us a letter. They gave specific pages in which we must review. We reviewed the pages. We submitted the document as of Sunday. It's been 5 working days. The Electoral Commission has not called us back, has not sat down with us, has not offered us an opportunity to discuss whatever findings that they may have. We woke up this morning to text messages from colleague parties that they have been asked to show up today at 4 o'clock for balloting. We tried to contact the Electoral Commission to no avail. We quickly sent a letter to the Electoral Commission for them to explain why we are not part of this, those balloting at 4 p.m.
Right.
The Electoral Commission then, through a WhatsApp message at around 1:17 or so on my WhatsApp, sent a letter, a very vague letter that does not give any explanation, after they have taken the decision for us not to compete. You see, the law of natural justice requires that you must engage and afford us the opportunity to understand what you are saying that we have not done, and to give us an opportunity to respond.
Nana, just 1 second here. I mean, I'm a bit surprised with the response you are giving, because on Monday we were told by the deputy chair of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Boss Matasari, that all those who the EC identifies errors with their forms were contacted and were given 5 days to, correct all the errors, and the 5-day period actually ended this morning. Are you saying that you were never contacted at all?
I'm saying that. Please listen. They contacted us on last Saturday and gave us 24 hours to correct our errors.
A weekend.
And we corrected it. Now, we were waiting to hear from them, because what they have done is, if you have other errors, they afford you the opportunity again. So like you're rightfully saying, we did not get the opportunity. And so we have been going there back and forth. They have not told us anything. Only to make a statement to the media that we are out. But you see, the law of natural justice requires that you must afford me that opportunity to be able to correct my error.
So as we speak, you do not know the error you may have committed?
They wrote a vague letter, and if I could send it to you, I would have sent it to you. A very vague letter.
And what is the EC saying? What is the justification for the disqualification? Did they explain it in the letter?
They say they found error.
What error?
They say they found errors. They didn't specify which error. And then they did not discuss with us. You see, the key thing that you must understand is that there is a procedural mishap. And the EC has shown gross incompetence. It's the same thing that happened in 2016. We asked for an audience. They said they will not give us the audience. And the court told them that you must grant the people the audience. You did not grant us the audience for us to come and speak with you, only for you to write on behalf of the commission. I regret to inform you the following review of your nomination form by the technical IT teams established for this purpose. You unfortunately failed to qualify to contest as presidential candidate in 2024 election. They did not state anything. What have we done? What did we say? What is it that you didn't want to see? And prior to this, they sent a mail that showed that on page 1, there's an error. Page 2, there's an error. Page 12, there's an error. Page 20, there's an error, and so forth and so on. But to write this vague message without giving us an audience, without pointing to us our errors, and giving us the opportunity, therefore, to correct the errors, you have committed a grave injustice, and you have taken away my rights, the rights of national justice, to be heard.
So what are you going to do now?
It is the same exact case that we took to court in 2016. They did not give us our hearing. They truncated our hearing process. And so we feel we have been bamboozled. We have been mistreated.
So
the Electoral Commission has acted unlike how they have been set up to act. And they have used their powers capriciously, as was said in the last ruling against the Electoral Commission.
So now, what is the way forward for the PPP now? What is the way forward for the PPP?
We are definitely going to court, my brother. And I guarantee you, we will be on the ballot for this election in 2024. Because we are not afraid of the Electoral Commission. They are not the Alpha and the Omega. The court, they are a creation of the court. And in creation of the Constitution, you must offer us the right for us to speak and for us to be heard and for us to correct whatever errors you might perceive. Then you write a letter that is so vague, that does not specify what the wrongs are. And you think that you are going to get away with this? Look, we are hearing things. People are calling us that because we were part of a demonstration that was held led by the NDC in relation to doing an audit on the EC. We have become persona non grata.
But the NDC has been clear. The NDC is that led this demonstration. The NDC candidate has been clear to contest. So if indeed this is the basis, that John Mahama wouldn't be on the ballot.
They think they can pick on us. They think that the structure of PPP, they can pick on us. They are wrong.
Okay.
They are procedurally wrong.
So you are going to court to challenge your disqualification. You are going to court to challenge your disqualification.
For sure.
And then to seek injunction.
If you know the record, if you know what happened in 2016, where we went to court to challenge the disqualification, and all other parties were brought back on the ballot paper to come and contest, the same thing is going to happen again.
All right.
Because it is the same error that the Electoral Commission... Look, the Mensa has shown gross incompetence. And I cannot believe that they can't learn from the history. That what they have done before, they are repeating the same thing again. And we cannot allow this country to be given to people who think that by virtue of their position, they can act capriciously anyhow and disrespect people, bamboozle people, hoodwink people, and think they ought to get away with it. They will not get away with it.
All right, let me bring in, Nana Wusu, hold it there. Let me bring in the other guests, then I'll come back to you to ask you a few other issues that we need to clear on this matter. Bernard Mona, a very good friend, also, filed his nomination to contest the presidency on the ticket of the PNC. The EC's communication disqualifies him. And also Dr. Amoda Akon, an independent candidate. Let me start with Mr. Bernard Mona. So, Bernard, I mean, you wanted to go all the way to secure the top job. The EC says that you are not qualified. I'm thinking that for somebody who wants to become president of the country, you should be without blemish. What happened? Mr. Mona, if you can unmute for me. All right, I don't have Bernard Mona's attention, but let me bring in Dr. Amoda Akon.
Are you without blemish?
I'm asking you, Bernard.
Certainly, I am a human being, and I cannot claim infallibility. But I am not sure that you are asking that in relation to the presentation we did to the Electoral Commission.
What have you been told by the EC?
If that were to be the case, the EC itself cannot claim that it's without blemish. By the rules we are supposed of and conventions, we are supposed to be filing nominations when we have a final voters register. Tell me that as a voter, the EC can tell you that we have a final voters register. Does that disqualify the Electoral Commission from performing its duties? On the 13th of September, I submitted my forms to the Electoral Commission before 12. Then on the 14th at 6:33 a.m., I got a call from an unknown number. The person identified himself as Samuel Kwa, telling me that they have sent me a letter which talked about some anomalies on my form. And if you take the letter, you would think that it's a template that the EC has put down. And they were just filling in. And this is the letter. It says, Presidential Nominations Vetting Committee Report. I bring you greetings from the Presidential Nominations Committee and trust that this letter finds you well. The Nomination Committee has detected the underlisted anomalies with your nomination forms. 1. Incomplete particulars of supporters. Pages 9, 10, 37, 39, 42, 46, and 50. These are the pages they detected the issues with. And what are the issues? The issues are that I filled the form in quadruplicate. So in one of the forms, you will find that in copying the information, probably you did not copy the voter ID card number.
Okay.
But all other informations are copied. So when they asked us to do this, we corrected these informations on the Saturday morning that they asked us to pick the form. We picked the form and we corrected it. And we returned the form with a letter. And this was our response to them. I acknowledge receipt of your letter with the above caption. Permit me to state that my team have since corrected the errors and resubmitted the nomination forms to the commission according to the schedule. In the meantime, I extend my compliments to you. And this is what I wrote, and it was signed for me by my general secretary. This morning, when I saw that some other political parties were posting on their various media handles a call for them to come for balloting.
Right.
I reached out personally to the chairperson of the Electoral Commission on 3 calls she could not pick. I called Sami Tete, whose signature is said to be on the release that the Electoral Commission did. Also 3 times, he could not respond. Then I called Kwao, and Kwao said, the committee has finished their job, they've given it to the commission. I managed to get Dr. Bosman, who told me that yes, the committee gave their report and they are working on it. And so he was on his way to the office. When he gets to the office, he will get back to me. As I speak, he has not. On the basis of that, I made my lawyers to write to the Electoral Commission
today
to demand any information why we have not received a letter. My lawyers sent a letter to the Electoral Commission
today,
and we have receipt of the Electoral Commission receiving our letter.
Better today?
Then
today?
Yeah, today. Then at 1:17, Asante Kisi now send me a letter via WhatsApp. And then the letter reads, and just listen to it. Listen to it. I read one letter to you. Listen to what they said.
Please go on.
They said, filing of nominations, disqualification from the 2024 presidential elections. I bring you greetings from the Electoral Commission and trust that this letter finds you well. That's why I said that it's like they have a template that they just feed in. 2, on behalf of the Commission, I regret to inform you that following the review of your nomination forms by the technical and IT teams established for this purpose, you unfortunately failed to qualify to contest as a presidential candidate in the 2024 presidential elections. The team identified several errors and omissions in your forms, even though you were provided an opportunity to correct them.
But you corrected it and then sent a letter to them. You didn't get a response to that until you heard this morning that they were going ahead with the balloting.
So this is after, I say 1:17 p.m. today that I received this letter. When they wrote the first letter, you saw our response to them on the same day. We rectified those errors they identified page 9, 10, 32, up to 50. And we returned them to you. So to the best of our knowledge, what the Electoral Commission said were anomalies, we rectified them. So what is the basis of what the Electoral Commission is doing?
Bernard, I just want to clarify something. I mean, the first letter you got from the EC, that pointed to the errors, and then you corrected them, and then you responded to that letter. Did you get a response to say that we have received it, we've gone through it, you have corrected it, and so we are happy? Did you get anything from them?
I am a man. Those who know me know that I deal with records.
Right.
So I have captured my call log. And if the court will mind to call the telecom providers, they can get the voice communication between me and Mr. Kwao, Samuel Kwao. Okay? At 3:29 p.m. on Saturday, Samuel Kwao told me, whilst I was in the Volta region, that they have received my corrected forms, and that he was initially calling me to tell him that my team had not returned the form. But at the time that he was speaking to me, that the forms were in his possession.
Right.
So therefore, how is it the case? And you see, let this be established. Election issues are not about me. And I just want to urge restraint amongst our people. This afternoon, as somebody who was driving a VIP bus Upon hearing the news, you know what happened?
You tell me.
He skipped the road. And almost caused a calamity for all of us in this nation.
Because of your disqualification?
Because of the disqualification. As I speak to you, my uncle, upon hearing the news, has not spoken since morning when he heard the news. There are many people, if you go to Tamale around the Agric Junction, the tension in the nation is huge because people believe in my efficacy as a president to overcome the problems that they are going through. So you don't take these issues lightly.
So what are the options now?
I dealt with you, Electoral Commission, face on face, one on one. If you, the Electoral Commission, thinks that it's an issue, and I was calling the chairperson, I am a known quantity. Jean Mensah, Bossman, Samitete, all of you have my contacts. We've been speaking when it matters. How is it a case that I will be there and media houses and other people will now be telling me a decision of the Electoral Commission concerning myself without my knowledge?
Okay. Just few issues and then to ask you, so what is the way forward for you? But your uncle that can no longer speak, have you checked on him to check whether he's regained his voice?
Oh, no. You can cross-check. If you go to Wapaguri, there are people. Look, and the thing is that it is like a shock. A huge shock. I speak to you, my campaign team is out of Accra. My manifesto team is out of Accra, finalizing manifesto that will present to the people of this country. Do you understand?
So what are you going to do now?
It's not an easy task.
Of course. So Bernard, what are you going to do now?
As I speak to you, my parliamentary candidates that I filed have sent their posters, and we are currently in printing the joint posters of me and my parliamentary candidates. You don't think that it is about me. It's not about me. So our lawyers, I wanted to go to the Electoral Commission this afternoon. My lawyers advised otherwise. Otherwise, the crowd that was going to, the people that are calling me, they want to join us at the Electoral Commission. Why would we subject our democracy to this kind of ridicule?
The PPP says that they are going to court. Is that the same option you are taking?
Well, the Electoral Commission is a creation of law. And so, therefore, we will never engage in violence. We think that the Electoral Commission erred grossly, and they must, by themselves, rectify that error.
Right.
If the Electoral Commission is minded, they should subject all the other nomination forms of the other presidential candidates they claim have qualified to a forensic audit, so that publicly, Ghani, you will tell me whether they qualified and we will not qualify. The PNC has been in existence since 1992. For 32 years, as we talk, if you subtract that from some of the commissioners, their ages, I'm sure that they will be in JHS.
Okay.
And so don't take the PNC and its presidential candidate lightly.
All right, Bernard, let's leave it here. Thank you so much. We are still waiting the feed from the Office of the Electoral Commission. They want to explain the decision they've taken. But let me bring in Dr. Nia Modakon. He's also, he wanted to contest the presidency as an independent candidate. He didn't, he missed the boat. Dr. Modakon, you must be disappointed. And if you can unmute for me. Right. So, Dr. Modakon, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear now. So you must be very disappointed.
Okay. Perfect.
You must be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of disappointment, but not so much for Ghana. You know, we live in a country where everything has become partisan. But to be honest with you, most things are not partisan. Most things are because of incompetence, gross incompetence. And that's what this issue has shown. I don't believe Jimesa has anything against me. She cannot, because I know her. Okay? I don't believe Bosman Asari has anything against me. No. I know him very well. The last time I launched my 4 books, he was the charm of the occasion.
Right.
Okay, and he said there that, those of them in the liberal arts and in academia, they don't even come close to me, although I'm a physician, when it comes to this thing. So he knows me where we talk now and again. So I don't think it's personal. It's just incompetent. Every level.
You think the Electoral Commission has demonstrated incompetence in the handling of this matter?
Gross incompetence.
13 of your compatriots went through without any issue. The issue cleared them. I mean, doesn't that suggest that perhaps the introduction of the word incompetence could also be applied to you?
No. You see, in the first place, on the 1st of August, Sam Tete, the deputy in charge of operations, made a press release, and he stated the things that needed to be provided as requirements. Okay. Now, we did that. As a matter of fact, when I went to submit my forms on the 13th, I logged in at 3:43. There were so many people there. By the time I got in, it was 5:20 thereabout. Tete wanted not to. He didn't actually want to accept my form because according to me, I was late. And I wasn't late. I logged in 3:43. That's one sign of incompetence. Okay. Now, when you go to a shop or when you go to the bank and the bank closes at 3 o'clock and you are inside the bank and 3 o'clock knocks, they don't sack you out.
Right.
They close the door behind you. They don't allow new people to come in. But those of you who are already there, they serve you. That is the basic common sense everywhere in the world. You come to a clinic closes at 5. Those of you in the clinic before 5 o'clock, you'll be served. Nobody sacks you from the service center. But that's what Tete tried to do, and was prevailed upon by, what's his name, Bosman Sari, to collect my form. Then he said, okay, he's collecting my form, but he's not accepting them. He's going to leave it to Jim Mensah to accept them. Okay, we left Friday evening. Sunday here, at exactly 10:56, I got a call from Sankwa, who said they've gone through they've accepted my form, they've gone through my staff, and there are some omissions. So I should come to the EC's office, collect my forms, and resubmit the following day. I went there, I collected. When I'll read to you what he said were missing. The nomination committee has detected the underlisted anomalies with your nomination forms. 1, incomplete filing of nomination forms. Okay. 2, you submitted only one original copy of the nomination form. The others are photocopies. You are required to submit 3 additional original copies. These were the only things in the letter, and then they continued. Meanwhile, the commission is contacting your supporters to verify the authenticity of their consent to your nomination.
And did you comply? And did you comply with this directive?
Of course, I was there myself at 9:45 the following day, and he came to work a bit late, 10:10, and he collected them from me.
And then what happened next?
When he come again?
And then what happened next? Did they confirm that?
Then when he looked through, he said, "Oh, where is your logo?" I said, "Well, there is no logo on the requirements." Okay, that's incompetence. There was no logo on the requirement as released by Santete on the 1st of August. If you want the logo, I'll go home. Fortunately, I live in Ambo from Osu. I just went back and brought the logo. Then he collected them. So, okay, fine. Then around 2 o'clock or thereabouts, the same day, Monday, my peer got a call from him. He said, "Oh, we can't find your tax clearance certificate." I said, "Sir, there was no tax clearance certificate in the requirement. I'm not in your head to know what's in your head." Okay? This is incompetence again. If you want tax clearance certificate to be there, you write it there. How long does it take? It's not there.
Nevertheless, did you supply the tax clearance after
I did. Now, what happened was it was around 2 o'clock. Okay? And you know the way this country works. We cannot behave like we don't know the bureaucracy in this country. So we told him that we will bring the tax clearance certificate the following day. And he told my PA that the following day, Tuesday, is a demonstration day and he doesn't know how things will go. So we said we'll bring it on Wednesday. We took it on Wednesday. Then he said, "Oh, I can't take it because we finished our report." I said, "No. You have to understand who we are dealing with. In the first place, there was no such a thing on your requirement."
Right.
Okay? There was no such a thing on your requirement. 15 listed requirement, there was nothing on tax clearance certificate. So I wrote a letter to Jean Mensah. I have a copy of the letter there, and I told Jean that, you know what, where I live, I've never seen tax clearance certificate because your tax returns is government asset. If government wants your tax return, they go to HU or Australian Tax Office and they get it from there. I've never, ever been asked to apply that because you must know what's happening to people. I mean, that's the government. What I get asked every single year is character assessment, my police clearance, and every 3 years working with women and children because of domestic violence. Okay, so this is what I was surprised that there was no character check on your list. Anyway, that's your problem. But you have to understand that I'm bringing the tax clearance certificate and all accompanying letters for you for your intervention. That was Wednesday or something like that. I never heard from them again. And then they came today with this. I got my PA actually got a WhatsApp message at 1:54. The same thing that Bernard Mona read, exactly that, except that it's my name. Exactly the same. So it's a standard thing. They get, that's what I'm taking, laziness and incompetence. Okay, so, the same thing, the same thing. Not even one comma out. The difference is that it's my name.
So what do you make of this? Doctor, what do you make of this? If you were asked to supply some key requirements, you did?
Not key requirements. It's not in the requirements. It's not in the requirements. If I have a number, I'll forward you the requirements.
Okay.
It's not there. So
what are you going to do now?
Well, of course, if you believe that this is a country rule of law, then the law will have to interpret what they have done. They have to tell me there's several errors and the omissions, what they are. I mean, it is infantile, absolutely infantile to write a letter to me. You know, you're not going to a kid to write a letter to me telling me several omissions, several errors and omissions. Really? Are you serious? If there is any omission, if there is any error, it's a Electoral Commission that failed to put in logos and tax clearance certificate in their requirements.
So, I mean,
those are the omissions. So that's the press release from Sam Tete on the 1st of August.
So
we'll go to court.
Does this in any way suggest to you that perhaps the EC took this action because they just didn't want you to be part of the race? Or what? Because
I honestly don't think so. I honestly, personally, I don't think so.
Okay.
It's just incomplete.
All right.
And sometimes when they do the wrong thing, they double down. They don't like to be corrected because in Ghana, we have this sickness in our head. You can't correct somebody. In the office. That's how they behave. And that's how we are where we are.
Okay. Let me go around.
Every credit rating says we are C-.
Let me go around. Let me go around and then pick the thoughts of the other guests as we begin to wrap up. We are hoping that the Electoral Commission will come through over the news conference to explain the rationale behind the action they've taken, disqualifying 11 presidential aspirants. And then, according to some of the aspirants, they are aware that the EC has already indicated plans to hold balloting for positions today at 4 p.m. They advertised the news conference at 1. It is almost 4 and they are not ready. Dr. John Piquet, you told us that you withdrew from the race. So what really is next for you going forward?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, Doctor, so I was asking, you told me earlier that you withdrew from the race because of certain issues. So now going forward, how are you going to be part of the electoral discourse?
Well, we have got, at the moment, parliamentary candidates are contesting in different parts of the country. So we're going to be supporting them to make their mark. But we also are completely convinced that we will be we're going to be our eyes on a 2028, where we're going to be involved between now and then, very much involved in building the capacity and building and putting into practice some of the things that we have presented to Ghana we will also be making sure that we are participating in the life of this nation, constantly making sure that we can align with other leaders whose policies align with ours, so that we can support them during this particular presidential elections.
Have you identified any of them? Have you identified the party you want to support in the race?
We're still in talks, and so that will be made known very soon.
Right.
We are appealing to all our teaming supporters. Really, although devastated, although very much disappointed, we are saying every difficulty like this presents a new opportunity for us to really take off again. Okay. So we appeal to all of them to be steadfast, to remain in their positions. We'll be coming to meet them so that we can take off as we look forward into the future.
All right, Dr. John Pipi, thank you so much. Now, for you also, so this obviously would cost you so much, because I know that for politics, you do a lot of planning ahead of the elections. I'm sure by now, the posters of your now disqualified presidential aspirant, Kofi Assamoah, is already out there. So to what extent will this disqualification cost the party and the candidate? Yes, please go on.
Saying that we have printed, we have spent a lot of money, but it is not going to go to waste, because the courts are going to vindicate us. And if you listen to the processes that my brother Bernard put out, it's the same process that we went through. And I'm telling you that it's a procedural mistake, truncation of my natural right to justice, a right to a fair hearing, a right to be heard. You did not complete the process. You went and you took a decision. After taking the decision, and we writing to you this morning, you sent, Bernard's own was 117, mine was 116 when I received the WhatsApp message. And the WhatsApp message was, again, as general as he read it. The same general will find errors. And you did not tell us the errors. But even telling us the errors, no, you did not give us the hearing.
Right.
And once you have not given us the hearing, it is against the law. You have found foul before the law. And I'm saying this confidently because 2016, that was the same thing that the Electoral Commission did against our then candidate, Dr. Indum, and our candidate now, Kofi Assamoah, who is right now in the United States doing fundraising in the Ghanaian communities to come back and continue the work. So you can imagine the investments that we have made to be able to be here and to be successful. Then we have parliamentary candidates who are looking forward to their president leading the charge. So you can understand the emotional distress that is being added due to incompetence and wickedness. I add wickedness because this is deliberate. I know all of them. I know every single one of them. I've worked with them before, and I am surprised that this thing can be done to us at this critical juncture. The PPP was formed in 2012.
Right.
To date, we have competed in many campaigns, elections. We have overcome adversity. We even helped the court to clarify and lay down proper procedure for the electoral processes in Ghana here. So we are not novices to this. We know our right. Everything that is required of us as a party, we know. We did it, and we did it well. Our regional teams went around, did the work, got the signatures, brought it to national, we put it together, we made sure that all the certification that is required, we put it together. You sent us a letter, you gave pages that you want us to correct, just like you gave my brother Bernard pages to correct. We corrected it, put a cover letter to it, gave it back to you, and then you wait till today. We served you a letter this morning before you responded to us in the afternoon, after you have already taken your decision. So we want the courts to interpret all of this and what it means. And knowing the precedents that the court has already laid, I believe that we are already victorious. But this time around, the last time we did not sue the Electoral Commission for all the damages it cost us. After winning this case or part of this case, we will sue them. We will sue them in terms of all of the costs that we have put inside into these processes and what they have wrongfully done to us. What they have wrongfully done to us against the law of this land. And look, we as a citizen, we cannot sit and be intimidated by any organization of people who are put there by virtue of the Constitution and who are kept there by virtue of my taxes. Yeah. It is my tax that keeps them there. So I'm not going to be afraid of an institution that I have helped to maintain and put in place to support us as a people, to be like snappers on the roof, shooting at people and picking us off like a war general or something. That is not the purpose for which they have been established. They are supposed to be user-friendly and walk us through the process for us to be able, and they are not the ones who sit there and become think gods to try and determine who can go and who cannot go. We have fulfilled every single obligation that is required of us by law, by the Political Parties Act. We are in full compliance. Right. So we are saying that all this that are happening is hogwash. Okay. It will not hold. And we believe that the courts will vindicate us in this process. Nana, thank you so much. And what you are seeing on your screen now is the Office of the Electoral Commission, and very soon the chairperson, Madam Jean Mensah, will address these concerns, I'm sure, and they will announce the next step forward. That is information. So these are just live pictures coming from the Office of the Electoral Commission, and very soon we'll take you live there when Madam Jean Mensah is ready to speak. But let me bring in Dr. Amoda Akon briefly as we wrap up this discussion, and to ask you whether, in view of what has happened, you will consider, throwing your support behind this party or that party ahead of December.
Okay, first of all, I will challenge the outcome. Okay, I'll challenge the outcome in court. Now, if that fails, my brother, if that fails, I have two options. To call in my shell and go back to Australia, or to do what I have to do. Because you know what? I am absolutely for the destruction of the status quo. I am absolutely for the destruction of the status quo. NDC, MPP, the Siamese twins that I call them, the incompetent Siamese twins. Now, apart from that, it can't destroy and create a vacuum. I have a brand of democracy, democracy brewed in the African people. Okay, I'll still go ahead and launch my manifesto so that people will know what I'm made of and what I would have offered Ghana if everything else fails. Now, anybody who has passed, apart from NDC and MPP, and want to adopt that democracy, I'll support the person. All right.
Dr. Amo, thank you so much, because the EC is about to address this. Perhaps you can stay tuned in and listen to what the EC says. You cannot be part of the final 13. Let me take you live now to the Office of the Electoral Commission. The EC chairperson, Madam Jean Mensah, is about to address us.
Joyce, and we are glad in it. On behalf of the Electoral Commission, I welcome you to today's Let the Citizen Know. Today's encounter is aimed at updating the public on the just ended filing of nominations by presidential candidates who wish to contest the December 7th, 2024 election. As I emphasized during the week-long process, this is one of the most critical activities in the lead-up to the December 2024 election, without which the Commission cannot run the election. As a result, we designated Monday, the 9th of September, through to Friday, the 13th of September, for this important exercise. We thank all our stakeholders, particularly our media partners, for their cooperation with the Electoral Commission. It is worth noting that most of the candidates who filed the nominations presented themselves in a courteous and civil manner. In a nutshell, we achieved our objective of ensuring a peaceful, seamless, and productive exercise. It has been the Commission's resolve to provide regular and comprehensive updates at every stage of the electoral process. Therefore, having completed the process of receiving, reviewing, and scrutinizing the nomination forms and documents from presidential candidates, allow me to update you accordingly. To enhance and ensure a transparent, credible, fair and peaceful, and yet accountable electoral process and election in 2024, the Commission continues to develop innovations to ensure that we carry the citizens along in all our processes. This transparency was evident throughout the registration and exhibition exercises, and indeed throughout the week-long nomination process. As a Commission, we intend to be open and transparent in all our processes and to keep you, our distinguished stakeholders, informed in a timely manner as we inch towards December 2024. This year, as in 2020, the Commission made the nomination forms available online. This helped ease the burden of traveling to the Commission to pick up the forms and eliminated overcrowding at the Commission's offices. The Commission also developed a detailed checklist that embodied the criteria to be satisfied by presidential candidates as prescribed by law. This template guided the scoring and awarding of marks by teams established by the Commission to review the nomination forms submitted. The Commission posted the nomination forms on its website on Wednesday, the 31st of July. Each political party or designated representative was given a unique code to access the nomination forms. This procedure eliminated the incidence of multiple candidates of the same political party filing nominations for the same position. This year, as in 2020, the Commission set up 2 teams which were tasked to review all the nomination forms submitted. The technical teams scrutinized the forms submitted to ensure that aspirants satisfy the qualifications as set out in law, such as the age requirements, fulfillment of tax obligations, among others. The IT team, on the other hand, reviewed the forms to ensure that the ID cards, the voter ID cards of candidates and their supporters were valid. We are confident that both teams have been thorough and yet fair in their work. As in 2020, the presidential candidates were given a 5-day period for the filing process. This allowed enough time for aspirants to correct any errors identified in their forms. All in all, these innovations helped eliminate the confusion and tensions that characterized previous nomination processes prior to 2020. In all, 39 aspiring presidential candidates collected passcodes to download the nomination forms. These were made up of 12 political parties, aspiring candidates, and 27 independent aspiring presidential candidates. The Commission is happy to note that 3 women put themselves up for nomination for the position of presidential candidate. For the first time in the nation's history, the Commission reduced the filing fees for women and for persons with disabilities by 25%. This is a testament to our desire to have an inclusive, democratic, and electoral process. Now, our friends from the media, to the reason why we are here. After the end of a thorough review process, I have the honor to present to you the presidential candidates who qualified to contest the 2024 presidential election. We had 13 candidates who qualified to contest the 2024 presidential election. And we have Mr. Mahama Bawumia of the NPP, Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the NDC, Alan Kojo Tremantin, an independent candidate, Christian Kwabena Andrews of the Ghana Union Movement, Daniel Augustus Latte Jr. of the Great Consolidated Popular Party, Mr. George Chumberi Maidu, an independent candidate, Nana Kwame Bediako, an independent candidate, Mr. Hassan Ayariga, All People's Congress, Mr. Kofi Akpalu of the Liberal Party of Ghana, Ekwia Donko of the Ghana Freedom Party, Mr. Kofi Kranting, an independent candidate, Nana Akosua Frimpong Kamakama of the Convention People's Party, and Mohamed Frimpong of the National Democratic Party. The candidates who were disqualified after the thorough review process are Mr. Samuel Appiah Dankwa, an independent candidate, Miss Janet Nabela, an independent candidate, Mr. Desmond Abrefa, an independent candidate, Nana Jepong Stevens, an independent candidate, Mr. Paul Peko, an independent candidate, Mr. Bernard Mona of the People's National Convention, James Kwesi Opong, an independent candidate, Mr. Samuel Sapong Ankra, an independent candidate, Mr. Nia Mudaku, an independent candidate, and Mr. Asamoah Siao of the Progressive People's Party. It is important to note that the candidate for the Progressive Alliance for Ghana, Mr. John Kweku Pikwi, withdrew his nominations after the filing process. And here, I would like to briefly take us through the findings. Mr. Mahama Bawumia of the NPP satisfied all the requirements and was cleared by the two committees established to do so. Mr. Kofi Akpalu initially had issues with his tax certificate. However, he was provided an opportunity to correct it, and the issues were resolved, and he was cleared by the committee. Mr. Christian Andrews of the Ghana Union Movement initially had incomplete details for his vice presidential candidate and incomplete records for some of the supporters. The issues were, however, resolved after he was provided with an opportunity to correct same. Mr. Kwame Bediako initially had no tax clearance certificate for his vice presidential candidate, and the photo size that he presented was not a postcard. However, he corrected these issues and was cleared by the committee. Mr. George Chumberi Maidu, an independent candidate, had no symbol and colors to represent himself. However, he was provided with an opportunity, and the issues were resolved within the nomination period, and he was cleared by the committee. Mr. Hassan Ayariga presented only one completed nomination form. The other two did not have some pages, I think from page 137 to 142. The issues, he was presented with these findings, and he went on to correct them, and he was cleared by the committee. Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the NDC satisfied all requirements and was cleared by the committee. Mr. Alan Kojo Tremantin, independent candidate, satisfied all requirements and was cleared by the committee. Madam Ekwia Donko of the Ghana Freedom Party also resolved issues to do with her nomination. She was subsequently cleared by the committee. Mr. Daniel Augustus Latte also had a number of issues to do with his form. The issues were, however, resolved, and he was cleared by the committee. Madam Akosua Frimpoma Kwamankama had a number of issues, and these issues were brought to her attention and the attention of the party, and they were able to satisfy the requirements, and the committee cleared them. Mohammed Frimpong of the NDP also had a number of issues ranging from a non-submission of a tax clearance certificate for the vice presidential candidate and incomplete particulars of some supporters. The issues were resolved within the nomination period, and he was cleared by the committee. Mr. Kofi Koranting also had a number of issues, including the use of registered voters in a particular district to support the nomination in another district. His issues were, however, brought to his attention, and he rectified them and was cleared by the candidate. So these are the 13 candidates who were cleared by the two committees. Mr. Samuel Apiadankwa, independent candidate, was, however, presented with a number of issues to resolve, including not filing a tax certificate for his vice presidential candidate. And then some of his pages were omitted from the form, and he had incomplete particulars for some of his supporters. Unfortunately, though he was provided with the opportunity to correct this, he was unable to do so, and the committee recommended that he be disqualified. Ms. Janet Asana Nabila also used the registration details of particular voters to support her nomination, of the registration details of supporters in certain districts to support her nomination in other districts. Again, the vice presidential candidate did not sign the nomination form. The issues were, however, not resolved, and the committees recommended that she be disqualified. Mr. Desmond Abrifa, an independent candidate, he also used the registration details of voters in a particular district to support the nomination in other districts. He was presented with these findings, but was not able to resolve them, and the committee required or requested that he be disqualified. Nana Japon Stevens, an independent candidate, also used the registration details of voters in a particular district to support the nomination in other districts. In addition, he had incomplete particulars for supporters. He was not responsive to the nomination requirements, and the committee required and asked that he be disqualified. Mr. Bernard Mona also had incomplete particulars of supporters. He also used registered voters in a particular district to support the nomination in other districts. His form also contained varying signatures for the same supporters, and in some cases the same signature for different supporters. The committee was of the view that he be disqualified. Mr. Paul Perko, an independent candidate, had incomplete particulars for his supporters, and he also used registered voters in a particular district to support the nomination in other districts, and the committee recommended that he be disqualified. Mr. James Opong, an independent candidate, his statutory declaration was not notarized. Additionally, he used registered voters in a particular district to support the nomination in other districts, and the committees recommended that he be disqualified. Mr. Samuel Sapong Ankara, an independent candidate, also used registered voters in a particular district to support the nomination of other districts, and he was not able to effect the corrections of this, and the committees recommended that he be disqualified. Mr. Niamudaku, the committee found that his forms were incomplete, and again he also used registered voters in a particular district to support the nominations in other districts, and the committee recommended that he be disqualified. Last but not least is Mr. Kofi Asamoah of the People's Progressive Party. He used registered voters in a particular district to support the nomination in other districts. Additionally, he had incomplete particulars of some of the supporters, and he was unable to satisfactorily correct these anomalies, and the committee recommended that he be disqualified. As mentioned earlier, the candidate for the Progressive Alliance Ghana, Mr. Pipi, withdrew after the filing process. He did file, but prior to the decisions being made, he withdrew his nomination forms. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, out of the total of the 24 nominations received, the two committees tasked to review the forms and to make recommendations to the commission have cleared 13 candidates. And once again, I'd like to mention them. Mr. Mahama Bawumia of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the National Democratic Congress, Mr. Alan John Kojo Chremanting, an independent candidate, Mr. Christian Kwabena Andrews, Ghana Union Movement, Mr. Daniel Augustus Latte of the Ghana Great Consolidated People's Party, Mr. George Chumberima, an independent candidate, Mr. Nana Kwame Bediaku, an independent candidate, Mr. Hassan Ayariga, All People's Congress, Mr. Kofi Apalu of the Liberal Party Ghana, Madam Ekwe Adonko, Ghana Freedom Party, Madam Akosua Frimpoma Kamankama of the Convention People's Party, Mr. Mohammed Frimpong of the National Democratic Party, and Mr. Kofi Kranting, an independent candidate. I'd like to mention that the Commission upheld the recommendations made by the two candidates, and to add that the committees that were established have spoken. It is important to note again that all the presidential candidates were provided an opportunity to correct the errors on their nomination forms. Detailed feedback was sent to each candidate to assist them with the information. I like to also note that those who were not able to qualify were not able to correct the errors identified with their nomination forms, hence their disqualification. This afternoon, the agents of the candidates who qualified to contest as presidential candidates for the 2024 election will ballot to pick their positions to determine the order in which they would appear on the ballot paper. And I believe that we'll be welcoming them shortly. Distinguished citizens, as we head towards the 7th December general elections, we urge all of you to work with the Commission to strengthen and uphold the integrity of our systems and the Commission as a whole. Our doors remain open, and we assure our stakeholders that we are receptive to constructive feedback and advice. Indeed, the feedback and advice from Ghanaians, which we receive on a daily basis, has helped to enrich our work and enabled us to serve you better. Before we bring the curtain to a close and go on to the balloting for positions, we would like to wish all the qualified candidates the best of luck in their bid to ascend the high office of the presidency. We urge all candidates to engage in a decent campaign, a campaign based on policies and programs that will lead to the betterment of our society. As referees, our role is simply to arrange and organize orderly, fair, transparent, and credible elections. We assure you that we are working to do just that. We as a commission do not have the power to determine who wins elections. It is not in our control to determine the outcome of the election. The power indeed lies with the good people of our dear country. It is only the citizens and the citizens alone who can determine who should lead them, not the Electoral Commission. It is the candidate who is given power to lead this country by the citizens who will be declared the President of the Republic of Ghana by the Electoral Commission come the 7th of December 2024. To the aspiring presidential candidates who did not make this process, we wish you better luck next time. Your filing fee would be refunded to you. And to all of you, our distinguished citizens, we thank you for believing in us and for walking this journey with us. We pledge that we will conduct ourselves in truth and integrity and organize free, fair, credible, transparent elections come December 7th, 2024. We will not let you down. On your part, we charge you to uphold and defend the good name of Ghana and her institutions. So help us God. May God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. Let peace reign. Thank you.
This is your election headquarters, and that was the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Madam G. Mensah. We'll take you back there because balloting for positions on the ballot paper will follow pretty soon. But let me pick a reaction from Mr. Bernard Mona, the PNC candidate now disqualified. Mr. Mona, you heard the chairperson of the Electoral Commission giving reason why your nomination was not accepted. What is your reaction? Mr. Mona, as usual, please unmute for me. All right, let me also bring in Dr. Nia Modak. Dr. Modak, you heard the reason why you didn't make the final 13. The reason being that some of the people who had signed for you also signed for others in different districts. I mean, you use same people for different districts, according to the Electoral Commission chairperson. Your reaction, Dr. Modak? All right, so clearly we'll try and get their attention whilst we also prepare to take you back to the office of the Electoral Commission. Balloting for the positions on the ballot paper is up next at the office of the Electoral Commission. But you heard the EC chairperson respond to the concerns regarding those that qualified and those that did not, and the reason why their nominations papers were not accepted, the reason why they will not count among those seeking to lead this country in December. So let me bring in Mr. Bernard Mona. Mr. Mona, you heard the Electoral Commission chairperson giving reasons why your nomination was not accepted. Your reaction? If you can unmute for me, Mr. Mona. Right, so there you have it. The Office of the Electoral Commission will take you back there pretty soon. And then let me actually take you back to the Office of the Electoral Commission now. I understand that they are responding to questions.
Let's organize water for the candidates. Let's clear and then get the girls to come.
So the Electoral Commission is putting itself in readiness to conduct ballots on to determine the positions that all the parties would have on the ballot paper for the presidential election. But you know the countdown is on with just 78 days to the December polls. Campaign activities are mounting with intensity, but not without the fun side. It's all, you know, the hard news, but it's also the soft news as well. My colleague Prince Kwame Kuduga brings you some fun sides on the campaign trail in the following report as we prepare to take you back to the Electoral Commission's office.
week has been packed with political activities, with the NDC's Enough is Enough demonstration against the Electoral Commission taking center stage. The party is calling for a forensic audit of the voters' register. But the question remains, who did this to the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NDC, Augustus Nanakwesi?
Chairman, what are they doing to you? Sir, please, the person has given me a dirty blow. He has given you a dirty blow? A dirty blow. And we know him. Why did he give you the dirty blow? I'm trying to enter into the premises and he gave me a dirty blow. What are you doing? What are you doing to me? Is it fair? What are you doing? Clear the road before I go in there. Nobody will push him. Clear the road before I go.
What exactly was he trying to say here?
Can you confirm if 3 of your members have been arrested by the police?
Yes, and some has been gunshotted. They've been arrested and what? Some has been gunshotted. Wow.
Meanwhile, the LPG's Kofi Akpaloo and APC's Hassan Yariga are at each other's throats again.
It's like Hassan Yariga just said, that he went there at 11:35. He was giving 11:30. You see, a whole leader, you went to the place 5 minutes late. It's wrong. Somebody was leaving Germany and you know you should respect time.
I think that Mr. Akpaloo is confused a bit when it comes to timing. So I finally got that 11:35 because we came in a very huge spot. Not like Akpaloo got there and he and his wife and his running mate. We got there in a convoy about 20 to 25 vehicles.
No, this man can't manage this Ghana.
But what are your thoughts on Mr. Kofi Akpaloo's policies and his strategy for winning the upcoming elections?
So what really is the motivation if the road to the Jubilee House seems so far from you?
No, it's not far. I'm going to be the next president of this country. I'll win this election. I'll win it.
How?
Oh, how? I mean, it's campaign. You go around and campaign. Talk to the people. Give them good message for them to vote for you. Every child in Ghana is going to receive child benefit. How many kids do you have yourself?
1.
Oh, you will get only 500 cedis every month. Like myself, I have 6 kids, you know. Yeah, you get 3,000 cedis. If you are lucky and you have twins, it's 750 per child, you know.
And here's Nana Kwame Bediakun's plan for economic redemption.
As I say, Timmy now. Now you Timmy Giamai. Now you Timmy Etani tomatoes near the good thing. Say Bruni Kwan ever catch and say Meko Udi Abayatintia, Eva Yamomo, Amomo Swabeto, every year. As I say, you see, I've done it a womoso. Say Chinese man, no. I don't want to mean at Tintino. Say, do you have been able to try good chance? Simudin Suaguma, Stalia Momo, say a bit as nigh a tono, Nancy Akatrums and Nominaya Tintin, no more Swabba Tobia, Bayamomo. As I say, you see, I drink.
Do you remember the statement?
Ghana. It is Picasso, or may you hear mine. Then num a memoir enquietino. A come there.
The PNC's Bernard Mona has a different approach for utilizing revenue from the country's natural resources.
Have you ever seen gold proceeds in your account before? Or you've seen oil proceeds in your account before? Proceeds from cocoa, proceeds from cocoa, proceeds from timber, proceeds from gold, proceeds from diamond, proceeds from oil, bauxite, everything that Ghana owns and exports, the people of Ghana will have a share. I am saying that if you don't get anything at all, 300 to 500 Ghana cedis from these cumulative resources will enter into your account.
Politics in Ghana is definitely never a dull affair. This is Prince Kwame Kudogen's report for Joy News.
Well, so that's the funny side of the campaign that we are preparing to take about to the Electoral Commission office. But before we do that, let me pick the reaction of Mr. Bernard Mona, the EC chairperson, been explaining the reason why he and others did not make it. Mr. Mona, the reason has been made clear to you by the EC chairperson. Your reaction?
I'm sure that you are amazed. After I read those 2 letters to you, it's evident that, and you can see that the EC chairperson was under some heavy weight or burden to justify my non-qualification. First, people who did not even have tax clearance certificates were given the opportunity to go and bring tax clearance certificates. We had tax clearance certificates. We had done everything that is legally required. We got our CID report, and I can tell you, if you do a forensic audit, of all other presidential candidates, and we are going to call for this. The EC must subject this to the court so that all the presidential candidates and their documents that they presented will be audited. It will be evident that they did not have the requisite documentations. Now that was done. The second part is that they gave everybody a chance to go and refill the form. Did you hear the chairperson? Did she say that we could not refill our form? Did she say the errors they identified on our form, that we did not fill them? So they identified errors on people's forms, the people filled them and returned them. We also filled and corrected our errors and returned them. So how come that we who also complied, we don't qualify? How is that the case? Because we returned the forms after you identified those anomalies. We corrected them for you. So did the EC chairperson say that we did not correct the forms and the anomalies and that we did not return them? Some of them you claim that they did not return them. What about me? What about the PNC forms?
So you are simply rejecting this excuse?
I mean, if you listen to the Electoral Commission, can you just cut the portion that the EC spoke about me? Cut it and replay. And just ask yourself whether it added up to you. Whatever is causing the Electoral Commission to think that they will disqualify me, let them be assured that it is not. Because I have listened to all the other people, some of them that did not have even the statutory requirements that the Electoral Commission needed. They gave them chance. If there was an error, if there...
The EC is claiming that, people signed, you had multiple people sign the forms for you. Same signature.
Was that the anomalies the EC identified for us?
Yeah, the same signature for same person.
I'm saying that was that the anomalies the EC identified for us, or they are creating new
one
anomalies?
Of them is Amona.
The EC, are they creating new anomalies, or the anomalies they identified for us, which we corrected, are the ones that they are using, or they have gone to look for something else? So if it is those that they identified, we rectify them, and there is no other issue. No external force should influence Jean Mensah to do what she is doing. She's giving us cause to think that somebody doesn't want her to allow our name on the voters register. We want to assure her that, like she rightly said, she doesn't have the capacity to choose for Ghanaians who the next president will be.
Right.
And I'm sure that I am the people's choice. I am the people's president. She should not deny the people the right to get their choice.
Right. Mr. Mona, let's leave it here. Let's take a short break and prepare to take you back to the EC office where balloting is expected to. We also have our Made in Health talk on the program. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is a pause on a Friday, and we'll take you back to the Electoral Commission office because the EC is about to hold balloting for positions on the presidential ballot paper for the December 7th presidential election. So all the political parties, especially the ones that will be competing in the December election, all of them are available at the EC office now, 13 of them. And we'll take you live to the EC office when that is ready. But before we do that though, this is our maiden edition. The health bits on pause is, a full package we want to give you every Friday as you go for the weekend, so you can have something to think about your health especially. Now, what are we talking about today? It's a condition that occurs in men when a man cannot get or keep an erection firm enough for sexual intercourse. Now, erection dysfunction can have both physical and psychological effects on men that experience it, causing stress, relationship strain, and low self-confidence. But what do you have to know about this condition, its prevalence, and what can you do to help deal with it? Now, in the studio is Dr. Josephine Awochukwenu, Head of Clinical Services at Spintex Medical Center, and she's an in-house medical doctor. Josephine, you're welcome. And a belated happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
All right, so when we talk about erectile dysfunction, what exactly are we talking about?
Okay, so before I go on, that is what people normally call impotence.
Okay.
So when we say erectile dysfunction, that means that indirectly you're saying you're impotent. Now,
but impotence, from my understanding, means what? You cannot make a woman pregnant. Is that what it means?
No. So actually, erectile dysfunction is what we call impotence.
Okay.
Okay. That is, if you can't make a woman pregnant, you are infertile. You are not fertile. But that doesn't mean you are not, because you are impotent. You can't get the action done properly. But then if you are infertile, you can probably do the work, but then not fertile enough to get a woman pregnant.
So this impotency we are talking about meaning what?
So it's the inability to attain and or maintain erection good enough for sexual satisfaction. So it could be the fact that you just can't attain erection, or you can attain but you cannot sustain it well enough or long enough for you to attain sexual satisfaction. So that's what we term erectile dysfunction.
And this condition, is it so prevalent?
Oh yeah, it is. It's very, very popular. Research done shows that after the age of 40, about 50 to 52% of men actually suffer from erectile dysfunction.
But more than half.
More than half. So like minimum half of men above 40 suffer from this. Now, once a while, most men may have, an episode here and there, but we term it the erectile dysfunction when it becomes consistent, recurrent, or progressive in nature. So it's normal to have an episode once in a while, but then if it becomes something habitual, happening all the time, then you have a problem.
So once you are 40 and above, I mean, these are things that naturally will come to you.
Yeah, the major risk factor is age. So most of the time, after the age of 40, although that doesn't mean that you can't have it when you are less than 40. Some do, especially the psychosocial causes. But then most of the time, you realize that most people start having these issues after the age of 40.
So beyond age, what factors speed it up such that you begin to experience it and then it becomes a worrying situation?
Actually, when it comes to erectile dysfunction, it has two different sides. It has the psychological side and it has the organic side. Most of the time, it is because of an underlying issue. Okay, so it is a way, that's why it's important to get to know about it and go to your doctor, because most of the time there is something that is causing it. So for you to have an erection, it is a whole thing. It starts from, getting the attraction. You have to, it gets to your brain before the brain will send stimulation down, then you have blood rushing in. So it's a whole cycle. Now, any point in time, if any of these cycles is interrupted, you can have an erectile dysfunction. So when you have it, it means that it's possible that there's an underlying medical...
We'll come to talk about treatment, but I'm sorry, I need to take our viewers back to the office of the Electoral Commission and then to witness the balloting of positions on the presidential ballot paper.